I want to ask you as well, because there's another guy, and there was rumors floating around today that Pat Brisson was seen in town with him, and that's former Leafs captain, still on the team, still part of the leadership core, John Tavares. And he's the other big chip here that has an expiring contract. And I made some people upset recently on this show. Clarky, you were one of them, but in particular, our buddy who was on the show, longtime CHL official Steve Papp out west. And Papper, I know you watched the show too, and I just wanted to acknowledge your feelings about what I said about John Tavares. I had the take, Brooksy, that I just feel like there's really no circumstance, in my opinion, where if I'm the Leafs, I bring this guy back. He's going to be 35. I don't feel like it's going to get better. And I feel like giving him any sort of term, 3-4 years at millions of dollars, when they've already just given him 77 million with no success. I just don't know why signing a 35-year-old for 5 or 6 million over 3 years is a better move than going and getting a 28 or 29-year-old for about the same or a little more going forward. What is your opinion on that? I love John Tavares, by the way. I just don't feel like people act like the Leafs owe him something, and they don't.
I listen, I'm with you. It's kind of going back to our Mitch Marner discussion a little bit, right? Like, it's what are we going to get long term? Like, again, this stretch has been wonderful. He's been a warrior, he's been everything else. But in the summertime, what were we talking to bring John Tavares back? We wanted him on the minimum. Wanted a $1 million year-to-year contract, and if he worked to your third line, great. If he ended up as your fourth line center, you were probably ecstatic, right? I have a hard time paying them the money they're talking about. I mean, mind you, I heard a comparable today that he's putting numbers up, and he's in the same age range as like Antti Kopitar. He's in the same age range as Kadri. And what's Kadri got? 7 years now at 7.5, or whatever it is, right? Like, am I close on that?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Are the Leafs willing to do that, like you say, with a 35-year-old? Like, no shot. I think it depends, like, for Tavares, is if you want to do an extension, if you can lock him in at something low, like lower, maybe then you give him a little more term and say, John, out of respect for you, I'm going to eat 4 million, for example, down the line because it's you, John. I just can't see him getting 7 million or more, right? Like, I think that's crazy. But that was the numbers I heard today, and I was kind of like,
not a chance.
That's pretty deep.
And yeah, and I see like the banter, and I get like, look, I don't hate John Tavares.
I think he's been a stud. Like these last 7 or 9 games or whatever, he's been a stud.
I don't disagree.
He's playing really well, and okay, I wouldn't sign him for not a penny more than 2.5.
And that's where the difficulty will be, because like he's playing way better right now than a $2.5 million player. And that's the other thing. I'm looking at it and going,
better than David Kampf.
Why are the Leafs? Yeah. Why are the Leafs like in such a rush to re-sign?
Yeah, I wouldn't be in a rush. I wouldn't be in a rush to sign either of them. Honestly, I wouldn't.
Mitch,
this team needs to
and go
perform in the playoffs.
I know.
That's why you wait.